Hey, what's up? Silas here. Sun is really shining, and the blow to my face is really real right now. But anyway, the Pope recently said something that I agreed with. And no, it wasn't the hell thing. Like, ostensibly, like, supposedly he said there was no hell, and then people were like, oh, no, no, he didn't say that. And then some people pointed out how, he's actually a Jesuit priest, but I'll get this to later. He's not necessarily as Catholic as some of the other priests, so people are like, not my Pope. But the hell thing, even though I do agree that there's no hell, because I don't believe in Christianity, and I don't really think there's a hell, it's really odd seeing some Christians come out and be like, oh no, there is a hell. This guy can't say that. There is a hell. There is this place that our supposedly all good, all powerful God created that's worse than any possible place you could possibly imagine. So, in my opinion, there being a hell is not a positive thing. Why would anyone want that? Why? I mean, because those are some of the people who, I guess, some of the people who do have that thing. When you say you don't believe, some people do come out and say, but without God, how can you be good? And these are the people who are living on the threat. And I'll come back to that later. They're living on the threat in order to be good. And I don't think this is a good thing. If I was one of the people who actually did believe in hell, but actually was good and was religious, was Christian or something like that because of other reasons, the positive things, the teachings and things like that, which they are, which they do exist, I would be very happy if people stopped talking about hell. I would be very happy if people were like, yeah, let's not talk about hell that much. Let's focus on the positive parts of it. But yeah, seeing some people clamoring to be like, yes, our God created a place that tortures billions of people, that tortures people like who have lived good lives because they don't believe in his son, Jesus Christ, who is also himself. That is really awkward. You guys should actually question why you're doing that, why you'd want people to worship somebody that created something that terrible. But anyway, the thing he said that was positive, that I agreed with, was he was talking about how people should stop wearing the crucifixes as a fashion symbol. And it's Easter weekend right now, and the crucifix situation, it's a torture implement. To have somebody nailed to a cross and walking around and having it as a fashion symbol, glistening them up, getting in gold, blinging it up, I'm like, that is really macabre. It's a really weird situation of people doing that. And you have a situation where people are wearing a torture symbol as something fashionable. Then you have this one situation, this one thing I saw, this one thing saw in the Philippines. I posted up and I asked this in a philosophy group that I am a member of that I talk to and I ask people some questions occasionally. I posted this up, this guy in the Philippines who was nailing himself to the cross. Literally nailing himself with nails through his hands and feet onto a cross. And then I was asking, look, isn't this somewhat similar to, I don't know what the practice is in Islam. I'll actually post that, a link to that later, where you see this occasionally happening in Muslim majority countries, but it's also happened in the UK and other places in Europe where there's now Muslim immigrants coming in, where they just walk around the streets and they're like, yell, these men walking around and whipping themselves in the back with these it's like some kind of self-flagellation thing, and it's part of the religion. So I was asking the people in this group, I posted that thing of the person getting nailed on the cross, and I said, okay, for believers, what do you guys believe about this? Do you think there's a part in Christianity that precludes you from doing this, that says if you do this, you're not actually following the religion? And a few people actually did present some verses. I'll give you the two Bible verses in the links below that somebody posted to say that that's against this, like he doesn't have to do this. Jesus already sacrificed himself on the cross, so it's not really expected of Christians to do that. But then somebody was like, yeah, that's also something that happens in certain countries, not in the West. And that's what I'm talking about. There's also some kind of there's a spectrum here. Certain religions do certain things in a certain way, but I don't really see anything that precludes that. But then it turns out it's not necessarily the entire peoples of that place. It's not the entire Philippines. It's not a common thing. The reenacting of it is common. There's reenactments in Europe, in Trafalgar Square. They had a whole thing. I mean, the people had makeup and fake stuff, fake blood and things like that. But it's still, to take kids and things like that to these situations where this person is being tortured in a mock torture, it's kind of odd to me. I find that to be very odd. But okay, so back to the point. So you have this mock torture things, and I'm like, this is not a cool thing to send kids through. It's not a good imagery to have. So yes, I agree with the Pope that it should be rolled back on. And I was asking, okay, how come when the Muslims do this, people damn this and say, look how barbaric and backwards this religion is, and it's a small it's a small minority of it. And then also this is done in Christianity. But at the same point, I don't want to say these are all the same religions. There's going to be a spectrum in the practice of it and how often it's done, how it's done, and this has things to do with the peoples that do it and the mentality of the communities that do it, and also just the religions themselves, because there's different kind of denominations and belief systems and things like that. Somebody pointed out how the Catholic Church is a lot more into actually having the crucifixion displayed in their churches, in their places of worship. That's a good point. Whereas you're saying the Protestant churches more have the living Christ who's able to actually intercede in behalf of you with the Father because he's out there with him. So they focus more on that rather than the whole iconography of Mother Mary and Jesus Christ on the cross. Yeah, one more thing about the self-flagellation thing. If you guys remember the Da Vinci Code, there was this Opus Dei member, this Opus Dei church that was actually somewhat affiliated with the Vatican Church. And there was that one albino priest that was self-flagellating himself in a really bloody way. And he had that kind of cinch on his thigh. Well, people in Opus Dei actually do some of that. Definitely not with that massive chain thing bleeding all this blood. It's more limited thing. They said the discomfort's supposed to be like fasting to affect your body. And they also have the leg cinch thing that's uncomfortable but doesn't impede your movement, doesn't give you a limp or anything. So that just shows that there is part of that. Now, what percentage of Christianity is that? That's a very small percentage. So what percentage of the Shia Muslims that actually do go out in the streets and do on the day of Ashura, that actually do the self-flagellation, how much is that? And with the Opus Dei, I think there is an over-exaggeration in the film about how it's displayed, because it's a film, you want it to come out that way, it's a book, it's a sensational thing, it's entertainment. But the Opus Dei is actually part and parcel. I think it's within the Vatican. There's actually aspects of it there. I talked about how there's actually Opus Dei here in Nairobi, Kenya as well. I don't think they go as far to do this. Who knows what they do behind closed doors, but I don't think they do it. But I think this also goes to show with the thing that Catholicism is more fundamental Christianity than the Protestants that are the ones who came out after a reformation. And I think what you see with Islam is in pretty much the entire Shia Sunni situation, this is still a situation where you're talking about fundamental Islam. It hasn't gotten to the situation where there's actually been some kind of reformation and some kind of Protestant ones. So yeah, getting back to the video to finish up with the thing I'd mentioned at the start. The thing I was finishing up with the threats is, I've talked about this before, how I think a lot of the people on the left politically are actually metheists, and collectivism with these worship of the state is a statist metheist religion. Metheist, it goes from polytheism, goes to monotheism, then goes to metheism, where you yourself are the Godhead and you hold yourself, you have your supernatural powers, and it's kind of a religion in that sense. But then I was thinking about after things happen, after terror attacks happen or events happen that people don't find are out of their control, and somehow people on the right politically mostly who are religious, they often say thoughts and prayers. And then people on the left who are religious with the statism, they often say threats and policies, because they're going towards their religions. You know, they're falling back on what their religion are. The statism is about threats and setting out policies that are going to fix things, that they don't have to do it anymore. They figure, if I'm threatened by this, if the state is threatening me, or if I'm set up threats that way or policies, then that's going to assuage this problem. I don't have to come up with solutions my own anymore. And then it's the same thing with religious people on the right, people who are following traditional theologies. If they say thoughts and prayers, they can just pray, they can just think about some things, and in some cases they don't really have to come up with solutions because they feel, yes, somebody else is going to handle this for them. For me. Yeah, okay, that's it for now. Like, share, and subscribe. Goodbye. So I woke up this morning, take my morning walk, and I found a cat that hangs out in the neighborhood playing with this thing, and it turns out it's this green snake. Now, I went online to try to find out what it was. You know, this is Nairobi, Kenya. It could be a green garden snake, completely harmless, doesn't do anything, eats insects, or it could be green mamba, very venomous, very poisonous. So I'm just wary of snakes in general, so I end up disposing on this after recording this video and everything. But this is kind of my relationship towards religion. Some religions are very damaging the way the people practice them. Some of them are rather mundane and rather harmless. But in general, even if I have the information to find out about them, the general nature of religions is something I'm wary of, something I want to keep away from. Be it thoughts and prayers or threats and policies, I think I think we as a human species would be better served by focusing on theories and practices in our daily lives and helping us advance as a life form. And yeah, goodbye.